Today I am going to explain you how you can manage Cloudflare using Terraform. If you know about the Cloudflare is the setup for DNS management. It's also we can create the firewall rules. So Cloudflare is complete setup for the DNS management. It's a tool. So Cloudflare is pretty good in the managing the DNS, creating the WAP rule and provide the security to our DNS records. So we can manage today I'm going to show you like how we can like manage the Cloudflare using the Terraform. But before that, we can manage Cloudflare manually as well. There is like we have the dashboard and all, but sometimes when we creating the rules, creating the firewall rules, it's the count of firewall rules increases, and so after some time it's very difficult to manage these things. But using the code, using the Terraform code, which give us the more additional benefits, like the you can create infrastructure on fingertip. You can also create the same infrastructure on multiple DNS records or multiple hosted zones. So many other features of the Terraform which is applicable on the Cloudflare. So we have the Cloudflare provider. We will see like how we can do that. But before that, let me explain you how we can set up or how we can manage these things or how we can set up it in the best practices. So here I have like ILC Cloudflare repository which contain all my code, all the things which are present. So here I am going to create the code on the Cloudflare repository. So that's why this arrow is representing. It will create the code and the Cloudflare repository. How we can set up that we will see in a minute. And in the AWS, why we require here AWS? AWS or you, if you are using the GCP Azure, you just need a backend for Terraform. It should be the cloud backend, or you can use the Terraform inbuilt backend like this, just like the Terraform Vault. So here you can see that my S3 will be backend to my the Cloudflare repository, and Cloudflare repository is creating the code. If they is creating the infrastructure on the Cloudflare, and it will maintain the state in my S3 bucket, and my S3 bucket will again sometimes after then, if they require the latest changes from the S3, or they sync the backend to my repository, and my backend will be syncing to the repository. Repository will able to detect okay what things lastly we deployed, and then it will going to create the new resources, and based on that it will maintain my backend. So how we can set up these things using the Terraform code? Let's see. So here, if my actually it's my Visual Studio code. So here I just write providers. So you can see here I just implement Cloudflare provider and AWS provider. Why we require the AWS provider? Because we are managing the backend via AWS. If you are managing the backend via Azure or GCP, you can select based on that provider. You can select or implement the provider that and use that bucket functionality or the storage system, whichever present on the different cloud. So here I just require provider means I just set up the version and all for the Cloudflare and AWS provider. Then again I put here like the which email ID I want to like Cloudflare API keys and email ID. So if Cloudflare is creating based on the multiple user we can create in Cloudflare, and based on that any user can deploy the things to our Cloudflare environment which has the some access of the Cloudflare console. If that user has the access, then they can go to the Cloudflare login, then they can go to the profile section, then they can go to the API token, and then there is like a global API key which are present. You just this API key will already present each and every Cloudflare user provided by the Cloudflare. So you just have to view that API key using the password. So just click on the view button and you can see the okay this API key. Just put that API key is here. Put your email ID which is required for the logging Cloudflare. You can put that email ID here, and once is that done, then your Cloudflare provider will automatically set up. After that, for set up the AWS provider, so I am using the region US East 1 which contain my S3 bucket and default tags which are required for my resources. So here I set up the AWS providers as well. Now if you go to the backend section, you can see here Terraform backend S3 means I am going to maintain all my state file in the S3 bucket of the Cloudflare IC. So here I put the bucket name, I give the prefix or keys or the region which bucket is present. So once that your backend is set up, your provider is set up, then you can do the Terraform in it. So I know this code is workable and this code is running, so I am not doing that because it takes some time. So before that I will go to the explain you how how you can create the resources and how you can manage that. So here if I go to the main.tf file, you can see here I am creating here one DNS record. So I am using, there is the Terraform Cloudflare documentation. It's very easy, it's very comfortable, and it's very readable, user friendly as well. You can just go there and read that document, and that will give you the complete idea like how you can create the DNS record, how you can create the Cloudflare rule set and all the resources. So I am creating here two resources, which is Cloudflare access rule, which is like office network. I am giving the name whatever I want to name. I am just entering the parameter whichever I want to enter based on the account ID, node, mode, and something like that. Also I am going to create one DNS record. It's the example DNS record. The value is example.ksa.com, because ksas.com is my official Cloudflare hosted zone. So I am creating the subdomain inside that ksas.com. So that's why I'm mentioning that the value here, and then the name is like auto discover and something like that, proxy is true, and zone ID, which zone is going to belong to this DNS record and all the things. You can also create resources as much as you can. There is a Terraform documentation for it. If I want to give you like, you can just type AWS and Cloudflare, Terraform Cloudflare, and you can just go to the first link, and first link will show you like, okay, you can see here, if you go to the resources section, then you can see here all the resources which are present, like account, member, subscription, map, DNS records, firewall rules, and all the resources. So you can just have to copy paste here and put it here, and based on that you can create your complete Cloudflare infrastructure using Terraform. So this is my short demo regarding that how you can set up that. If you have any question, concern, any suggestion, you can put it in comment below. So thank you so much guys.